Hello, story hunters. It's Hunter Kishi. This fantasy story I'm about to share to you was one of my ongoing story at Wattpad with a Philo MC, titled Outcast Cloner. Chapter 3. Not meant to be a hero. The grand hall was filled with tension as the divine crystal dimmed, its glowing light flickering once before it disappeared into the floor. The summoned students stood frozen in place, stunned as magical symbols floated in front of each of them, projecting their newly acquired classifications and ranks. Gasps rippled through the hall. Alexei Dmitri Artem, S-Class Hero. Jaden Sensui Winchester, S-Class Hero. The room buzzed. Golden light surrounded the two boys like a coronation. Alexei only tilted his head, his sharp blue eyes unreadable as he shoved his hands deeper into his pockets, unimpressed. Jaden blinked, lips parted slightly. He didn't expect it either. Yuto Sakamoto, A-Class Fighter. Kaito Nakamura, A-Class Fighter. Two large, silver runes hovered around Yuto and Kaito. Yuto barely reacted while chewing gum, his tone casual as ever. Kaito grinned, clapping Yuto's shoulder. Sena Furuya, S-Class Healer. Misaki Watanabe, S-Class Healer. The girls squealed in delight, their matching strawberry blonde hair bouncing as they jumped in place like performers hitting a perfect cue. They flashed each other dazzling smiles as if they wwere idols on a stage. Shoko Yamazaki, S-Class Tank. Sora Tanaka, S-Class Tank. The two tomboyish girls bumped fists, grinning wildly. Goro Tetsuya, S-Class Speed/Strength. The sporty prince cracked his knuckles, smirking smugly as though this was always meant to be. Yui Hanazawa, S-Class Fire, Water Mage. Yui's soft gasp was the only delicate sound among the chaos. Water and flames swirled around her fingertips, her eyes wide but glowing with quiet excitement. And then, the crystal pulsed one last time. A small whimper slipped from the last girl standing in the back. Akairah Mahojin, S-Class. Service and Innovation? Skill Type. Cloning plus Utility. Silence. Then, poofed. Are you kidding? That's not even combat. She's like what, a butler? It was Shoko and Sora, first to laugh. Misaki and Sena exchanged a look, then snickered behind gloved hands. Goro scoffed out loud. Wait, why was she even summoned? I thought we only needed 10. One of the royal staff. Shoko glaring at the cloaked summoner. The robed mage looked baffled, flipping through a thick book of summoning inscriptions. I don't understand. The ritual circle only calls those with matching resonance. There must have been interference. Akairah clenched her fists. Alexei gave her a glance, then looked away. Yuto shrugged, both uninterested. Jaden, on the other hand, stepped forward. Hey, back off, he said coldly, glaring at the laughing group. She's here now, whether you like it or not. Kaito joined. Yeah, mocking her won't make you stronger. Yui frowned, walking to Akairah's side without a word. But the others weren't listening. Misaki crossed her arms. TCH. Whatever. She'll just slow us down. Before anyone could speak again, a deep, commanding voice echoed from the throne. Enough. Everyone turned as the king of Arcandus finally stepped down, robes flowing behind him. His golden crown glinted beneath the chandelier's light. You've all been summoned to help this kingdom in a time of crisis, he said, voice heavy with purpose. Each of you has been given extraordinary gifts. We expect your cooperation. But then Alexei's voice cut through the grandeur. No. His tone was flat, dangerous. You don't get to expect anything from me. Gasps again. The palace guards reached for their swords. Yuto rolled his shoulders and stepped forward lazily beside Alexei. You summoned us here without our consent. That's rude. Don't expect us to bow just because you snapped your fingers. You, the king's man snarled, stepping forward, but the king raised a hand. He forced a smile. Then, tell me your conditions. If it ensures your cooperation, we are willing to listen. Alexei smirked. Just leave me alone. Don't command me unless I feel like it. Yuto nodded, same. Very well, the king gritted out. So long as you assist in times of great danger, I will not press. Without another word, Alexei and Yuto turned and left the hall. The massive doors slammed behind them. The king turned back to the rest. And you? Sena and Misaki were all smiles again. Of course we'll help, but we'll need proper accommodations. A villa, perhaps? Gourmet meals, daily massages, Shoko added with a grin. Sora gave a mock salute. We're heroes now after all. The king agreed swiftly. Jaden, Kaito, and Yui exchanged a glance. Jaden scratched his head. We'll help, but only if we're treated fairly. And she, he pointed at Akairah, gets treated right too. The king hesitated. Everyone turned to Akairah, whose hands trembled. I want to go home, she said, voice small. The silence was deafening. Impossible, said the summoner. The ritual drained the mages. It will take months before we can even consider sending someone back. Akairah took a step forward, panic surfacing. Then what am I supposed to do here? I'm not even supposed to be part of this. Calm yourself, the king said gently. We will send you home, but it will take time. Until then, I'm useless here, she whispered. You're not, Jaden said, coming beside her. You can stay with us. We'll figure this out together. She'll be a distraction during training, a royal steward cut in. She has no place with the fighters. Kaito clenched his jaw. Are you kidding me? Yui's voice trembled. You can't treat her like this. But Akairah smiled weakly. It's okay, I understand. Jaden looked at her sharply. No, it's not okay. She looked up at him with distant eyes. This is your mission, Jaden, not mine. Go chase your destiny. Just forget about me. Jaden's mouth opened, but no words came. The king coughed lightly. If that is the case, we can send her to a noble house. One that needs skilled servants. You will be paid, and recalled if the return ritual becomes ready. Jaden flinched. Don't. But Akairah looked the king in the eyes. If I accept payment, does that mean I can't go home? Yes, said a guard. That would count as compensation for your summoning. Akairah frowned. But if I become a servant and get paid for labor, it's not compensation. It's work. The king paused, then nodded reluctantly. Yes, that is correct. Then I'll go, Akairah said, voice clearer this time. As a servant, gasps. Shoko and Sora burst out laughing. Sena smirked. Then be my servant instead, Shoko, with the malicious eyes. No, Akairah, wait. Yui pleaded. Don't do this, Kaito said. But she didn't respond to any of them. A palace aide stepped forward, bowing politely. Miss Akairah, this way. The carriage awaits. Akairah! Jaden called. She turned back one last time. Just forget about me, she said quietly, and focus on saving this world. Then she walked away. The grand doors closed behind her. Jaden stared, frozen. Kaito punched a pillar in frustration. Yui wiped her eyes. And in the final scene, Akairah sat in the carriage, watching the moonlit path ahead. Miss, the maid beside her said, you'll be serving the heir of House Velmyra. They requested someone different. Akairah gripped her skirt tightly. So be it. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. No Way Back. A tense silence gripped the golden hall beneath the throne, its grandeur dimmed by the heavy truth that had just been whispered behind closed doors. Why, Your Majesty? One of the castle's chief advisors finally dared to ask, voice low and unsure. Why tell them they can return to their world when we know we can't send them back? The king of Arkandis, cloaked in thick royal robes the color of spilled ink, stared out of the stained glass window that overlooked the kingdom's sun-drenched plains. Because, he said, tone firm yet exhausted, if they believed there was no hope of return, several among them would reject the role. Some would become hostile. Others may fall into despair. This world is already fraying at the seams. We need them united, even if through a lie. But Your Majesty, when they find out, they won't. Not for now. We will delay, distract, redirect. And by the time they do, his eyes narrowed, they will have made too many connections. Formed attachments. They'll no longer want to leave. Inside the noble carriage, Akairah's POV, the carriage rumbled over the cobbled path, its fine red drapes muffling the outside sounds of the imperial capital. Akairah sat in silence, her hands clasped tightly in her lap as she stared out the tiny window. She hadn't spoken much since the summoning. Who could blame her? A fantasy world. A demon king. Heroes. Magic. It all sounded like something from the manga she secretly used to read on breaks. Now, it was real. Too real. Cloning, she thought bitterly. That's the power I got. What a joke. Everyone else had flashy-sounding skills. Destruction magic. Holy sword. Elemental summon. And hers? She could make copies of herself. With weak stats. Disposable and temporary. They laughed at her in school. Now they were laughing here too. Just hiding it behind polite smiles and titles. I wasn't supposed to be here, she thought, closing her eyes tightly. I was done with them. Done with that school, those monsters. So why? Her grip tightened. Then, slowly, she remembered that boy again. The one who saved her that day. The one whose name she never even got. His voice echoing from that tree. She never forgot. Now she had to survive. Maybe even outshine them. Training ground. Schoolmates' POVs. The palace had divided the 10 chosen saviors into groups, assigning elite knights and sorcerers to train them in their newfound powers. Inside a grand crystal chamber, Goro swung a massive blade surrounded by wind magic, impressing even his instructor. He grinned cockily. TCH, I'll be the main hero of this world, watch me. Nearby, Sina and Masaki sat on lavish cushions while a lady mage explained etiquette and basic spell formulas. The girls smiled sweetly, but behind those smiles, they whispered about which noble boys were the cutest. Yui, nervous but trying, was in a small chamber with a gentle sorceress. Her small frame trembled with each incantation she muttered, but she kept going. Unlike the others, she wasn't drunk on the power trip. She just wanted to be helpful. Alexei, however, stood atop a high spire, his black coat fluttering in the wind as a retired war general tested his limits. His eyes were unreadable. Yuto leaned lazily against a wall, casually catching knives his trainer threw at him with uncanny accuracy. They all had their goals, each one dancing on the edge between human and tool. Jaden's POV courtyard. Jaden ran a hand through his dark auburn hair as he leaned against the marble railing, watching knights spar below. It was nightfall, and yet his thoughts still revolved around her. Akairah, she wasn't in the banquet earlier. Or the garden, and he hadn't seen her with the other chosen in training either. He clenched his jaw. The way she looked right before the summoning, the fear in her eyes. He knew something was wrong even before all this fantasy stuff began. The way she flinched when people from school came around. The way she forced a smile when he visited the fast food joint, acting like she was fine. He cursed himself for not realizing it sooner. Now, in this new world where magic and politics ruled, he swore he wouldn't let anyone hurt her again. Letter to the Duke, Noble House POV. Inside a stately manor draped in deep navy banners and lit by enchanted lanterns, Duke Ravner of House Alzen skimmed the letter sealed by the royal crest. His silver brows furrowed slightly. Special attendants from the summoned ones might be capable of handling the children. Let them serve while observing. He sighed and set the letter down. 2 of his children, aged 7 and 9, had chased away over 15 trained nannies this year alone. Magic traps in the halls, insects released into the tea room, and a near catastrophe involving a dragon hatchling egg. He eyed the wrinkled parchment again. Well, he murmured with dry amusement, if this girl survives a week with them, she deserves a title. Final scene, night before fate. Meanwhile, deep in the palace's forgotten west wing, Akairah was assigned a small servant room with only a thin mattress and wooden table. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection in a cracked mirror. "Cloner," she whispered. A flicker of energy responded from her palm. A weak shimmer, then a hazy outline formed beside her. Another her. Pale, unstable, yet undeniably her. The clone stared at her with empty eyes before flickering out like smoke. She inhaled shakily. Everyone thought it was a joke, that it was weak, pathetic, a useless extra. But something told her this skill was far more dangerous than they realized. She just had to survive long enough to prove it. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. The Duke's Estate and the Seeds of Innovation. The scent of blooming fire petals and rain-washed stone filled the air as Akairah stepped down from the royal carriage. In front of her loomed House Olsen, a sprawling estate of silver-tipped towers and arched gates wrapped in rose. Servants moved briskly along the stone paths, and enchanted lanterns floated overhead, casting soft glows over trimmed hedges. A footman cleared his throat beside her. "Miss." "Akairah, yes? This way. Please don't stray." She followed in silence, taking in the immensity of it all. Back home, she'd barely been able to afford her bus fare. Now, here she was, assigned to one of the most prestigious noble houses in the empire. It was overwhelming. They led her through the side halls into the servants' quarters, and eventually into the kitchen, a warm, bustling room humming with activity and voices. The head chef, a rotund man with wild brown hair and soft green eyes, gave her a big grin. "You must be the new one from the palace. I'm Bruno, and this is my kitchen. You'll be helping peel vegetables and clean produce for now. Earn your place. Earn your meals." "Got it?" Akairah gave a timid nod. From the side, a tall man with dark brown hair pulled into a low tail glanced her way. His eyes, dull red like ember coals cooled in ash, regarded her without a word before returning to the pot he was seasoning. He moved with quiet precision. The air shifted subtly around him, like the gravity of the room bent toward his presence. "That's Zest," whispered a curly-haired maid with flour on her face. "He's one of the best chefs here. Barely talks, but he's not as scary as he looks." Another older woman with silver hair, golden eyes, and thin spectacles stepped forward with a clipboard. "You are assigned to vegetable preparation and general cleaning. I am Madame Lear, head of the Duchess's tea staff. Stay out of trouble. Work well, and we'll get along." Akairah bowed quickly. "Yes, ma'am." Despite the chatter and rush, most of the staff welcomed her kindly, though a few eyed her with suspicion. One girl sneered, clearly displeased. "Hope she doesn't expect royal treatment just because she's one of those summoned." Akairah didn't respond. She was too tired, too focused on holding herself together. She had a place now, temporary or not, and that was enough. Inside the nursery, the Elzen children. Later that evening, muffled shrieks and thuds echoed through the east wing. Inside the ornate nursery, two children were giggling wildly amid a swirl of flying magical toys. The older one, a girl with twin braids and mischievous ocean blue eyes, waved her hand to splash water from the teapot into midair. "Watch, Elrin, Whirlpool Bunny?" Her younger brother, a tousled redhead with bright amber eyes, clapped his hands and sent a small flame dancing along the curtains. "Elira, look, Fire Rabbit, let's make them fight." A nearby maid panicked. No, please don't." But the chaos had already begun. From a corner window, the Duke observed the scene in silence, sipping from a golden-rimmed glass. "She will start tomorrow," he murmured, eyes narrowed. "Let's see if this servant from another world can last longer than the others." Akairah's room, that night. The moment her door shut behind her, Akairah dropped onto the small wooden bed with a sigh. Her hands were sore from peeling tubers and scrubbing pots. Her back ached, but for the first time in a while, she didn't feel worthless. "They paid me," she whispered. "Actual money." She glanced down at her palm and summoned her clone again. It flickered into form, stolid now, more stable. Its expression matched hers perfectly. "I can do more than this," she murmured. An idea came to her. What if cloning didn't stop at people? She picked up the pillow beside her, placed it in her lap, and focused. Visualizing it, imagining another just like it. FSSHH. A soft glow sparked from her fingertips, and a second pillow appeared beside the first. Identical in every thread. Her eyes widened. "Okay, now what if I change it?" She tried again, this time visualizing her old sky blue cloud-patterned pillow from back home. FSSHH. There it was, her favorite pillow from Earth, soft and vibrant in her arms. She hugged it close, almost teary-eyed. But she wasn't done. A wilder thought crossed her mind. If I can copy objects, what if I copy memories of objects? She closed her eyes and pictured her phone. Every detail, every chip, screen, and button. She imagined its design adapted to this world. Magical circuits instead of wires. Self-recharging energy core instead of batteries. Flash, a glow. Then, weight in her hand, Akairah opened her eyes. A sleek phone rested in her palm, glowing faintly. She powered it on, her eyes filled with disbelief. It works. No SIM, no signal. But it had her gallery, her offline anime, her notes, her saved music. She laughed, a small, overwhelmed laugh. Next, she pictured a box of fries. Poof. A warm paper pouch filled with crispy golden fries appeared beside her. Then soda. Then a chocolate bar. She took a bite and nearly cried. "I'm not powerless." Her smile was quiet, but sure. "I might be the joke now, but one day, I'll be the twist no one saw coming." And as the moonlight spilled into her room, Akairah Zapanta Mahojin, the accidental 11th summon, bit into a fry and began to dream of the life she would build in a world that never wanted her. End of Chapter 5. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for Part 2. Or visit my Wattpad page to continue reading.